Everyone, I hope you're okay. So today we're going to see or have a lesson on dermatology, the aspect of dermatology that is in 3.1 nursing, mostly done in community registered, Kenya registered community health nursing. So in this one we're going to check on the principles of diagnosis and management of dermatological condition, and what that is everything to deal with skin. And the objectives here, we start by review of anatomy, physiology of skin, very important, the assessment of integumentary system. And you see, when you talk about integumentary systems, among the system that build up the organism, that is the body. So the integumentary system, it enters the nails, the hair, the skin, right? And most of them are just made of the debris of keratin. So we shall describe also common skin disorders and their management, types of the skin disorders, right? For instance, if you talk about the psoriasis, all those ones, be it mouth, be it the varicose, be it the acne vulgaris, all those ones, and how we can manage them. So the skin is the system, that is the integumentary system, is divided into skin, hair, glands, nails, nerve endings. So we start with the skin. So the skin is an organ because it consists of different tissues that are joined to perform a specific function. Remember, when you talk about the organ must be more than having a single tissue. So it has to have similar many tissue combined. So skin actually the largest organ of the body in surface area and weight. Then dermatology is a medical specialty now concerning the diagnosis and treatment of skin disorders. So introduction, number one, you need to know 15% of body weight is on the skin, and the surface area of about 1.5 to 1.75 square meters. Then thickness is 5 to 6 millimeters. That is on the palms ni mbele ya mkono yako, and then toes as well. But 0.5 millimeter around the penis. So it is very thick in the palm and very thin in your penis. That is why penis is presumably most let me say sensitive or maybe vulnerable region in your body when it comes to infection passageway. So that is that. There are two general types of skin: hairy and glabrous skin. The hairless skin found on the ventral portion of the fingers, palm of surface around the soles of the feet, lips, labia minor, and glans penis. And that image there is a very nice vindicative of the structure of skin. That is from the different layers. We have the epidermis, the most top, which has the pore, the double papillae, right? And the pore, we have the hair shaft passing through the epidermis off from the inner skin to the outer skin. Then followed by dermis. Dermis has got many things, yeah. It has got the hair root, the hair follicles, right? It has got the eccrine sweat glands. It has got the Pacinian corpuscles, so the glands, the eccrine sweat glands, their sensory nerve fibers, the hair rector pili muscles, the sebaceous gland, the free nerve endings comes out the same, the Messina capsules. Also, they're all in the dermis. Don't forget about the root hair plexus and the artery and the vein. Then we have the lower one, which you can call the hypodermis, or the superficial fascia, or the subcutaneous layer. That is that. So it's very important that you get mastery of all these so that you have them in your fingertips. So let's see the epidermis, right? The thinner outer layer. That is what we want to start by. The epidermis, the thinner outer layer. So first of all, structure. In terms of structure, epidermis, we're gonna check on that. But look, epidermis, the thin outer layer, then the dermis, the thicker connective tissue layer, then a hypodermis, subcutaneous layers, and then the muscle and bones comes in. So let's start with the physiology. First, the function. Physiology, that is the function of the skin. Protection, physical barrier that protects underlying tissue from injury. Umetembea, umedungwa na mwiba, isipokudunga vizuri haitapita the first screen. The same applies to UV light and bacterial invasion. The UV, the ultraviolet lights, excessive of it, if it could be not having the skin with the deposition of the melanin, we could be right now dying from the skin cancer, the melanoma, and so on and so forth. Bacterial invasion as well can come in if it wasn't for the skin. That is why at the most thinner place in the penis, yeah, you realize it's prone to infection, right? That is that. Another idea from that, we have mechanical barrier is part of non-specific immunity. What we all call it's part of the non-specific immunity, or what we call the innate immunity. Yeah. So the mechanical barrier is also offered by the skin. So then we have the regulation of the body temperature as another function. High temperature or strenuous exercises, sweat is evaporated from the skin surface to cool it down. Then we have the physiological processes, the first vasodilation and the vasoconstriction also help in enabling the sweating. So when we vasodilate, the diameter of the blood vessels enlarge, and therefore a lot of blood passes through, increasing blood flow and therefore helping in cooling by losing the heat from the blood. Then we talk about the vasoconstriction. Yeah, don't mind the noise around. Yeah, this is Taveta voice. So this place actually like more of a decent in a way because it has got the desert wind. So yeah, but it's a town is a good one. So then the vasoconstriction, we have decrease in blood flow because of the decrease in the diameter of the blood vessel and so on. That's what happened. Then there is sensation. In the sensation, we have nerve endings, receptor cell that detect stimuli to temperature, pain, pressure, and touch, and so forth. They can bring on the information to the brain for the purpose of sensation. Excretion as well. Skin is a good excretor. It sweats, removes water and small amounts of the salt, uric acid as well, and ammonia from the body surface. So if it doesn't fall into that active session of excretion, then uric acid will accumulate, resulting to conditions such as gout. And gout is also arthritis, specifically gout. Yeah, and it has got many other conditions, can even deform your kidneys. Blood reservoir. So it also acts as a reservoir of blood. So dermis houses an extensive network of blood vessels surrounding about 8 to 10% of total blood flow in resting adults. Then the sixth purpose is the synthesis of vitamin D, or what we call the cholecalciferol. The UV rays in sunlight stimulate the production of vitamin D enzyme in the kidney and liver, modify and convert final form of calcitriol, most active form of the vitamin D. So the calcitriol aids in absorption of calcium from the food and is considered an hormone, therefore enabling production of vitamin D. And the last, it acts as an aesthetic. So layer of skin, I said we have epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Epidermis, the top one, provide a waterproof and serve as the barrier for infection. Then dermis serve as a location for the appendages of the skin. And then the hypodermis is subcutaneous or adipose layer, normally acts as insulator. That is that. This is the grammatical view. They are good if you could be using the YouTube to learn. So that is it. You can see them. So let's go to independent epidermis. Let's start with that, then check on definitely small by small before we. So here in epidermis we have the outermost layer. I told you that it's a waterproof protector over the body surface, and it's made up of the stratified squamous epithelium. Don't forget that the components, the type of epithelium that entails the epidermis is stratified squamous epithelium with an underlying basal lamina. Most of them have got basal lamina. That is the main membrane of most of the stratified squamous epithelium. That is where now they generate from. So it contains no blood vessels, and cells in the deepest layer are nourished by diffusion from blood capillaries extending to the upper layer of the tongue. So itself does not any blood vessels, but diffusion of those blood is what keeps the cells alive in those areas. The main type of cells which make up the epidermis are the Merkel cells and keratinocytes, with the melanocyte and Langerhans cells also present. So the Merkel cells help the function. The keratinocytes, the ones for the keratin, so they provide that the dead cells. Then the melanocytes secrete the melanin, responsible for the black pigmentation, the filtration of excess UV rays. Then the Langerhans cells also present, and the function of that. So keratinocytes are said they are barrier against environmental damage such as the pathogen, bacteria, fungi, parasite, because they have formed the dead cells. Heat as well. Then the melanocyte produces the melanin producing cells located in the bottom layer, the stratum basale of the skin's epidermis. Then we have the Langerhans cells, antigen present immune cells of the skin and the mucosa. They protect the body and the skin from any entrance or intrusion by the microorganism. Then you have the Merkel cells, the nerve receptor essential for the specialized coding. Thus is further subdivided into the 5 sublayers or strata, beginning with the outermost layer, the stratum corneum. So we're going to have the 5 subdivisions of the epidermis. There are 5, and you need to know them for the basis of anatomy and physiology. So we have the stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, only in palms of the hand and bottom of the feet. That is. Then stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum germinativum, or what is called stratum basale. Why is it germinativum? Because it produces all these ones. See the germinating sheet. So look, stratum germinativum or the stratum basale. So those are the 5 layers of epidermis, and you see how their basics are. So cells are formed through the mitosis of the basal layer, that is why it's also called the germinativum. So the external layer gets replaced continuously in the life. This process is called the keratinization and takes place within about 27 days. So this keratinized layer of skin is responsible for keeping water in the body and keeping other harmful chemicals and pathogens out, making skin a natural barrier to infection. So let's go from the epidermis. Now we are in dermis, and starting it says it is the layer of the skin beneath the epidermis. And you know that is actually full of the epidermis that consists of mostly the connective tissues. Cautions, that is matrix and all the the fibers, the fibroblasts, all these connective tissue thing, the cells, the connective, the macrophages, the langerhans here in presence. They cushion the body from the stress and strain. Mtu akikusukuma, somebody pushes you, pinches your skin, the stress doesn't affect you because of them. Then they make the largest portion of the skin, that contain the air follicles, sweat glands, sebaceous gland, apocrine glands, lymphatic vessels, and blood vessels. So the blood vessels in the dermis provide nourishment and waste removal from its own cells, as well as the stratum basalis of the epidermis. Away from that, hypodermis, subcutaneous layer, actually the most lower one, it's the innermost actually, and it lies below the dermis. And then you get that it consists of loose connective tissue. You know, the other one had the fibrous connective tissue, but here now the loose connective tissue is what is present, and they are elastin. So the main cell types of are the fibroblasts, the macrophages, and the adipocytes. And then this one contain about 50% of body fat. Fat serves as padding and insulation of the body. So its purpose is to attach the skin to underlying bone and muscle, as well as supplying it with the blood vessels and nerves. It moves the body, counters and insulates the body. Fat is distributed and deposited according to sex, hence account for a difference in the body shapes between the men and women. Because if you could be having the same uniformity and distribution of the fat in our body, could be looking the same. So a man can look like a female, and look how you have a very huge breast, right? Because too much fat has been deposited on your breast. So that one gives the difference between them. So if you go over and start tapping the hips of a female, you get there some also deposit of hunk of fats there. So that gives significant differences or marked differences and not similarity between male and female. So let's talk about hair. Covers the entire human body apart from the areas of the glabrous skin. Consists of the tuber, the root, the beneath the skin, and the shaft, which is outside the skin. Nail, talking about nail, is a horn-like envelope covering the dorsal aspect of the terminal part of the fingers and toes. Made of keratin, nails grows continuously throughout life at an average rate of 3 millimeters a month. That is equivalent to 0.1 millimeter daily. So skin pigments. Let's talk about the skin pigment. We have the melanin, melanoid, and keratin. So there are at least 5 different pigments that determine the color of the skin, present at different levels and places. So let's start with the melanin. Here it's brown in color and present in the germinative zone of the epidermis. It's primarily responsible for the skin color. So the more melanin, the darker the skin. And then the melanoid resembles melanin but is present diffusely throughout the epidermis. Then keratin, this pigment is yellow to orange in color. So from yellow to orange. It is present in the stratum corneum and fat cells of the dermis and superficial fascia. It is principal hardening ingredient of hair and nails, so it is the one which strengthens the integrity of the hair and the nails. So that is its principal roles. Hemoglobin also comes into play around in pigmentation of the skin. So it is found in the blood and is not pigment of the skin but develops a purple color. Then we have the oxyhemoglobin, is also found in the blood and is not pigment of the skin but it develops a red color of the skin. Then glands. Let's talk about the glands in the skin. You have 2 types of the glands. We have the sebaceous glands, the oil glands, or the sudoriferous gland, the sweat glands. The sebaceous gland, we call them the holocrine glands. Type of holocrine glands, they connected to hair follicles and then they are not found on the palms, also the feet. And the secret sebum, fat, cholesterol, and proteins keep hair from drying out, keep skin moist, and whiteheads, blackheads, and acne also they come to play with it. So I had already given you audio on acne vulgaris and to see what was whitehead and the blackhead acne and which one was so risky in a way for bacterial infection. So this is an image for what I've just talked about, the sebaceous gland and how they connected the hair shaft and all blah blah blah. Sweat gland is another thing, a small tubular structure of the skin that produce sweat, having concentrated in palms and soles of the feet. They are heavily concentrated in the palms and soles of the feet. But like my case, I don't sweat on the palms, so I don't know where they took my sweat glands. My palms are forever dry, so I do moisturize them. I know because most people, if you go to gym or started going to gym long time ago, like in your early 12 years old, You end up having arms like mine, like you don't use the gloves while you're grabbing the weights, so by that the heavy lift results to some, the distortion, I think, of the sweat gland, because my hand doesn't sweat easily, but they don't also dry, so they are moderately there. But I'm told they are heavily concentrated in the palm and sole of the feet, so that's why some people even sweat behind the, on their sole. Only the margin of the lips and external ear, nail bed, and glands, penis, are devoid of sweat glands. So you'll never sweat on your penis, right? And also in external ear you'll never sweat, and the nail bed you'll never sweat, and so on, and the lips also you'll never sweat. So that's why you use the saliva to know. It's a very vague thing bwana. Kunywa maji mingi, drink a lot of water, kunywa maji mengi, I don't know, then you will stop the drying of your lips. We have two types of sweat glands, the eccrine and apocrine. So starting with the eccrine sweat glands, they are more common. We also call them the merocrine. They originate in subcutaneous layer. They duct empties on skin surfaces, and sweat is watery, 90% water. Sweating regulated by sympathetic nervous system. They are distributed all over the body, this merocrine, except for the lips or tips, the way I told you. And even clitoris, they are not there. So although their density varies from the region to region, they are utilized as primary form of cooling. Then apocrine, axillary and pubic region, duct empties onto hair follicles, viscous fluid, causes body odor, what we call the BO, body odor, harufu ya mwili yako, when bacteria breaks it down. So I'm trying to give you something here. The apocrine are rather like the eccrine. So the apocrine, the only region they are in the axillary, that is makwapa, pubic hair region, that is around your private organs. Then the duct empties onto hair follicles, and then the viscous fluid causes bad odor, harufu mbaya. Harufu yake ni mbaya, ndio maana makwapa inanuka vibaya ukitoka jasho. And then what happens again on your pubic region here? Most people, I'm sure, sometimes back I was catheterizing a victim from accident. Road transport accident. So look at this. What happens that when I was removing all over in the inner pant, I was shocked. Was very shocked actually. I could have just gotten some shock, but I just hold on my breath, because the kind of smell, it was not friendly at all, honestly. So it is normal, of course, but you should protect this bad odor by practicing perfect hygiene skill. You see, do go for your shower in a routine way, basic, daily, or even twice or thrice a day. Prepare to always keep your innerwears clean as possible. Wash them routinely. Because you never know, tomorrow you'll be in the hospital there for emergency case, maybe, you never know, and then you make the doctors go into abnormal conditions. Active in puberty, so this viscous fluid which are causing bad odor when bacteria break them down, they are active in puberty, and they are enlarged, and these apocrine are enlarged and recede with each menstrual cycle. So the more you undergo menstrual cycle, the more the apocrine increase. Keratinization gland, located in ear only, modified apocrine gland. They produce those wax, and I told you in ENT, those things we call them keratinization. They are modified apocrine glands, and they originate in the subcutaneous layer, produce keratin, brown sticky substance that prevent foreign material from entering. You should note that sweat glands are located on various parts of the body and respond to different stimuli. Those on the trunk generally respond to the thermal stimulation, those on the palms are so respond to the nervous stimulation, those on the axilla and the forehead respond to the both stimulation. So principles of diagnosis, that is history, personal, demographic, appearance, etc. So we're going to check on the history of what we call the dermatological history. First of all, take the demographic data, the biological data or the biodata, the personal details. You check on, also confirm the appearance. Then after that, chief complaints comes in. You will need to also analyze the chief complaint like any other. Some people even Socratize the chief complaint. So you say on the location, the duration, where is this one? If it is a kind of acne vulgaris, where do they portray? Duration, how long have they been there? Are they intermittent or persistent in a way? Type of eruption, is it an open eruption? Does it discharge? Itching, or the frequency of itching, right? Is it itching in the morning when you bathe, or what? Weeping, sort of. Provocation, what brings it in? What necessitates, what increases its pain? acute or chronic, has it come once suddenly, or it has never been here forever. Then go to past medical history, check on the past medical history, and family social history, diagnose, after diagnosed, yeah, check on the previous diagnosis, outpatient department attendance, travel, medicals, food, environment, if he is fond of pets, and etc. So exams, use good light, whole bodily, undress, hidden parts. Yeah, you undress everything, including nothing. Distribution, check on symmetrical, if they are appearing in pairs, patterns, specific parts, skin color, check whether red, yellow, gray, weeping, dry, is it weeping or is dry, configuration, is it linear, discoid, annular, cluster, discrete, bizarre, zingine ni bizarre. Morphologic, check on 1 degree or 2 degree lesion. Palpation, degrees of infiltration, is it edema, smooth, rough, thick, elastic. So talk about the degree, edema, tush, smooth, rough, edematous, stones, rough. Yeah, so factors to consider while describing skin lesion. You have to describe them based on the color, size, shape, and demarcation and texture. So like color, you say not the color of the skin first. Depending upon the person's race, the skin should be flesh tone appropriate for the person. Helps in identifying whether lesions are secondary to inflammation, infection, and sun exposures, or hereditary. Shape and demarcation is another thing which can be used during morphological, description of lesion. Shape, describe the counter of the lesion. Is it round, oval, polygonal, and asymmetric? So even on the breast, if you are doing breast examination, you need to know. Still, this one can apply because you start by inspection and you are inspecting the skin. So talk about the scar, the color, the skin shape and demarcation. Is it round, oval, polygonal, if there's any mass? So demarcation refers to the sharpness of the edge of the lesion, whether discrete or diffuse. So it can be a discrete one or diffuse. Then size, texture, lesion described as being rough or smooth, dry, moist, and on the surface or deeply penetrating into tissue. Configuration, you can check also in configuration if arrangement of the pattern of lesion is in relation to other lesions. Skin lesions can occur discretely or in groupings. So when they're in groupings, you can talk about linear lesions, annular configurations of lesion, ring-like lesions. So you're gonna have that one and keep it intact in your brain and in your fingertips. So away from that, check on the disseminated, refers to multiple scattering lesion diffusely distributed over the body. Then distribution, talk about, considers both arrangement of lesions of an area of skin as well as pattern. Like now what we talk about localized, regional, and generalized. Away from that one, on our nini, check on hair. You go over and check again on color of the hair, distribution, loss, texture, parasites, scalp, all that one. If it is scalp, check on masses and tenderness, the scalp hair. When it's nails, check on the convex, the color, like it's pink or what, translucent, check on capillary refill evident, 3 seconds should be. Less than 3 seconds supposed to be capillary refill evident. Unafinya kidole hapo kidogo unaona damu inarudi baada saa ngapi. If it's less than 3 seconds, okay. No lesion, you're good. Spoon shaped, that is iron deficiency. Iron is very low. When clubbing, there is apoxia, that is low oxygen supply. And then we have the paronychia. If it is lab result, talk about swabbing, aspiration, swab on the wound if it is open one or lacerated one. If the lesion is open, swab on the wound, check on the lab test. Routine, check on the urine. Full hemogram. Serological, check on the VDRL. Search for parasites like scabies, skin biopsy, skin scraping. Immunofluorescence can be used and designed to establish sort of immunological reactions. You can do culture and sensitivity, smear and patch testing as well. So whatever you're able to see, and now morphology, you see those are examples of some conditions. Primary, we have the molecules, the papules, the nodule, the vesicles, the bulla, the postulus, the wheel. Then the secondary part, we have the scales, the crust, the fissure, the excoriation, and the ulcer. So we are going to start one by one, starting from the primary lesion as we proceed. That is in our next lesson. Have a nice time and enjoy. Remember, this content is based on the nursing syllabus or maybe outline. There are some depth missing. When you come to MBBS, the content is very, very detailed more than this. So this is for nursing students. And then when you come to when you go to playlist, you'll find the classified videos and audios on YouTube based on the classes and the courses also. So you can secure check on your course and find your videos there. Details are later. Thank you so much and enjoy your day. This is Dr. Uma presenting, courtesy of Medical Students Arena.